Hey everybody, it's me, Johnny Fox, here with some more Fox Tales. And this week's guest is none other than the man, the myth, the legend. You know him as Jimmy Maddon. Everybody actually knows him as Jimmy Maddon. It's Jimmy Maddon!
Hey, 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 hey.
You're all right then, sir.
Oh, living the dream, my friend. How are you?
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the heat though. How are you with that?
There's a fan place behind the camera work, so
Excellent.
certainly looking forward to the winter. I think it's been a long summer.
It's as an honorary ginger kid. It's not for me. But if you're
I,
enjoying it, good for you.
well, I love doing these music things. Last time we had a 35-degree day, I was doing a gig, and on this one, I'm here sharing the screen with you.
Fantastic. Right. Singer, songwriter, performer extraordinaire, Jimmy Maddon. Why don't you just tell us anything? What have you got upcoming? Sell your shit. Whether
Sell my
what
shit. All
gigs
right.
or music drops or whatever projects you might be involved with, what can people look forward to from Mr. Maddon?
It's a very good question. It's come off a bit of a run of doing a few things. So I've had quite a few shows sort of recently, including playing Sydney Matilda for the first time with a dear friend of mine, Steve from Televised Mind, who was the first musician I toured with in England, really. Probably really the first musician I met when I first moved over here, which was really cool to play that. It was a weird show. Just when you think you played everything in rock and roll, we got double booked with a rave. So people were coming through the door into the band room, jaws swinging, thinking, "What the fuck am I looking at here?" Me with eyeliner and leopard print on, and scarves hanging off, and sort of a my Jim Morrison meets Nicky Sixx meets sort of Steve Tyler imagery, which I think was certainly a sight for them. Otherwise, I've got plans to get back in the studio soon. I've got quite a lot written. I've sort of been back in a writing phase, so I've got quite a few new songs have been starting to be worked on and worked into the set list and stuff like that, which is good because I do like to road test ideally songs quite a lot before I take them into the studio because they do
Yeah.
evolve and
Oh, yeah.
grow and everything like that. So sometimes it's better taking them in after they've been evolved on stage rather than going straight into the studio.
Yeah.
So that's been fun. That's been keeping me busy as well. And then really sort of planning for probably more what next year looks like.
Yeah, I mean that was always my plan. Um, well, that was always my schedule. Yeah, get out there, get them written, get out there, because you. I don't think you've finished writing a song really until you've then also performed it several times later. Like you say, you go back to it and you just find there's something that only playing it live made you go, it needs a little.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, everything sounds brilliant in the rehearsal room or the living room when you're writing it. And you think this would be a great number live, and then you do it, and for whatever reason, it doesn't work. And you usually try it two or three times, thinking maybe it was just the
Yeah.
first night, and then it doesn't, and you sort of scrap it from the set list, which is always a bit of a weird one because you build this thing up in your head, uh, and then it doesn't work, so you sort of end up dropping it, sort of revisit. But I don't think you ever really finish writing a song. Yeah, even the ones that have been on the first album, you tend to revisit and try different things, maybe depending on how you're feeling on the night.
Yeah, it gets. I mean, at some point you've got to go. Okay, this will do. Maybe there's some tweaks to come later, but at some point you've got to kind of stop just looking at it yourself over and over and kind of walk away and put it out there.
And it's a
Like,
hard thing to do sometimes because they are your
yeah,
babies, really, and you have a really strong connection with certain songs, and when you do have to let them go, like songs off the first album when they finally had sort of done their lifespan on the road because of new material out. It's hard to sort of go. It's time to let this one go, and sometimes it's easier. Sometimes you're a bit ready to let ones go. I've always said the night with stilettos. I think I wrote the bones of it were written when I was 16. In fact, a few years ago, I found the original lyrics to it, and I was amazed at how much of the original draft had remained.
yeah,
And there's a couple of things in there that were like, it was set in a nightclub, and there was my 16-year-old Andy Warhol inspired view of what a nightclub would be, and
Yeah.
cigarette smoke and stuff like that coming up through the sky, and all these things that really aren't accurate. But I fell out of love with it because I just played it. I played it all through Asia, Australia, Europe, nearly every show, and I was tired of it. I think people knew that I was tired of it. I can't rehearse it. Not like the back of my hand now. And it came to that point where I had to sort of let it go. But on the flip side, people then say, you're not playing stilettos and stuff. So you have to relearn, in a weird way, you almost have to relearn how to love a song.
Yeah. Oh no, boys and girls, there's like a downside to having a hit. It's because it's great for you, but for us, because
Yeah.
it's so old for the artist. By the time it started forming and blah blah blah, and then written, and then taken to rehearsals, and then rehearsed, and then taken on the road at small gigs, and by the time it's possibly recorded, and then you've heard it, and then you buy a ticket, and then you go see a gig. This guy's sick of it, and he wants to play it for you. He wants you to be happy, and he really appreciates you as a fan. But this song is so old.
You know when a song's maybe needs to be shelved for a few months, or maybe let's find a slow fingerpick version of it, let's medley it into something, when you're playing it and you're in the chorus, you're in the big emotional hook, and you're thinking, right, I need to remember to get bread on the way home after this gig, and sort of thing, or like these days I'll be thinking, right, it's Mrs. Maddon's birthday coming up here, so I need to remember what I've got planned. And I think so. I still do a little bit now with stilettos. I do sort of let my mind wander, but I've sort of tried to. I've said this before, and I say it all the time. I try not to keep it boring. Every show needs to be, even if the set list is the same, there's always something that's different about the way I play it. And stilettos has a great ability where I can play it quite fast if the atmosphere is up. I can slow it right down. I can sort of riff a little bit in the middle section. So sometimes now I'll go, you know what, if you're feeling confident, those nights where you're feeling confident, you will sometimes go, I'm gonna try something here. It may not come off, but when it does, that's the excitement bit with the song. When you do something that you've never planned, a little riff or a little run that you've not really tried before, and you go, all right, that worked, that sounded cool, that's got their attention. That excites me with it now more than playing the song itself. I always love, like, when you do the new songs. The first night you're just bricking it. You go, I'm not ready. I don't remember the words. It's not going to work. It's all going to go wrong. Particularly at the moment, the new set. The first two numbers are unrecorded numbers. And you think, I'm not too sure. You get through the first two, and you sort of throw in, because my view is leave them deafblind and wanting more. In the first 2-3 numbers, and you can drop a few quieter ones, maybe lesser known ones in, bit of a medley. You slow it down with your sort of love ballad. Which these days is Stilettos or Baby Be Mine, and you start to build it back up and end, with a big sort of number. But that first two songs, you sometimes think, I don't know why I'm opening with something that no one knows, but I'm lucky I've got quite a good opening track. Well, I think anyway, quite a good opening track. That I think gets people going. You can see people sort of engaging with it, and that gives you a sort of shot of confidence. Like the first night I did Bohemian You, I remember thinking, okay, I'm not 100% on how this will go as an opener, and you can see people, really getting into it, and that really gives you the confidence for the rest of the show to carry it on.
Yeah. So even before that opening number, though, I'm curious. Do you have any sort of like pre-gig rituals that you do?
No, I used to be quite superstitious about the show, so I would always be clean shaven and brush my teeth. Brushing my teeth is probably one. I will always, before I leave for a gig, I'll always brush my teeth. And I don't know what that is. It's an energy thing, or you just feel fresher. It's probably really the only one. But I used to be very superstitious about shaving and where I'd tune up before I left and stuff like that. I've probably become better with, I was going to say age, maybe experience. That I'm less so, but yeah, pretty brushing teeth is the main one. But you still, even now, I'll be about to go on stage and I'll think, I don't know the words. To songs I've played 1,000 times, and I'll still screw them up from time to time. And you can kind of hide it and go, well, it was all intended for the show. But yeah, I'm not as superstitious as I used to be, particularly when I was younger. I think there was a lot of waiting. I used to live that dream, every rock and roll dream, that I'm going to play this dive bar. There's going to be an A&R agent from EMI in there who goes, kid, you've got it. So I'd be prepared. I'd be ready for that. When now I'm a bit more relaxed about they will find me, at some point, inevitably.
Because kids, if you're just joining us a little late, this is the rock star Jimmy Maddon, to give him his full Sunday name, as his mum would want us to do. So you can go find him on socials, like all the socials. He'll be there. He's not hard to find. You get all the upcoming news, gigs, recordings, all of that great stuff. So, social media. How's that play into your personal sense of promotion for the music? And how do you think it's perceived in general in the industry? Is it becoming more of a, you have to be on this in some way, or?
It's a great can of worms question. Look, I mean, when I started, everyone was playing live. You had to play live. You had to cut your teeth. There was no way around it. YouTube was sort of a thing. Instagram was very early doors, but it was pictures of the sunset and stuff like that. And I just played. I played every night. I played twice a night where I could. Every night I was out. And it was priority. It was number one. I missed birthdays, weddings, and big things that people in their 20s would be doing because it was all about playing. And so then social media really changed the game. And I give this, for some people, in the better. I think it's been worse. I think for musicians it's been worse because there are 1,000 million better guitarists and singers than myself who've never left the bedroom or the YouTube camera. And they can technically play brilliantly, but put them on the stage and they're not going to know what to do when the fallback goes or string snaps. Nor, the hand of God as you're on stage. So I really didn't embrace social media for a long time, which is ironic now with how I'm on it. But I really refuse to accept that one good video and I'm famous sort of thing, where come watch me play, and come watch me on the road driving around, at 2 o'clock in the morning coming home. And then COVID really changed it for me. I had a big tour of America and Japan that was getting work, and England, that was where I had venues booked and everything. And COVID shut the lot down. And I initially thought, we'll give it 2 weeks and we'll come out of it and everything. And then the longer it went on, the more I thought, okay, I'm going to have to do something here. So I started to become more active on opening up, because I was very closed on social media, very, didn't give a lot away, a lot of the gig pictures and stuff. And there wasn't really a lot of my personality that came through. And it's very hard to put this into a picture with 5 hashtags. And I just started I'm slowly embracing it more. Mrs. Maddon's been a big pusher in that, and she understands, she's a bit younger and she understands social media better. She begrudgingly put me onto TikTok kicking and screaming, which I still don't really understand. So I've had to really embrace it now, because it's a massive, massive part now. And I've been told by a lot of people in the industry, it's more important than playing shows. Now, I love playing shows. It's my bread and butter. It's what keeps my heart pumping, being on stage. There is no better thrill for mine. But I've had to learn it, and you will assume, like, the fan videos and stuff. I can become obsessive with it. I think, like everyone now, algorithms, what's going to do well, why is this not doing well, why is this done well when it wasn't intended to be a post. And it could drive you mad. And it still does. If I'm I can pretend it doesn't, but Miss Maddon sat next to me. She'll jump in if I'm not careful, try and pretend that I'm quite relaxed about it. But it's one of those things that you've had to accept as part of the industry now. It's probably more important than playing or recording.
Yeah, I mean,
And it's a hard one, really. I can't say I can't say I'm a big fan of the.
see that you can have a million followers on, platform of your choice. Why I'm interested in, like, if anybody's had any, like you said, industry insiders tell you it's really important, to be on social media and get your social media, get your numbers up.
Yeah.
But you can have a million friends, followers, subscribers, whatever it is, on your profile. That does not equate into a million tickets sold for the next gig. Just be
Thank you.
realistic.
You've answered something for years. You go to book a show, and the first question the booker says is, "Send us your Instagram," because I want to book your numbers. And I've said to them, I've toured around the world. They're not all in Sheffield, and you're exactly right. Like, there's a lot of people, lots of followers that I'm not seeing equate to sales. And it's so hard. The algorithm wants, you've got 3 seconds to capture someone, or less. I think these statistics, the average is spend about half a second before you scroll again. And all the algorithms built around the first 3 seconds. But if I got a new single out, I can't sell that in 3 seconds. I find it really there's all the talk about MySpace coming back, and you know what? I'm kind of for it. It was always a musician's best friend.
I'm still not. I'm not convinced it really does matter.
I don't think it's got staying power.
If you're any kind of promoter, booker out there, and if you're only going to book an act because they have huge social media figures, you're going to lose a shit ton of money when nobody turns up, regardless of these figures. Like,
yeah,
it's not. That's just not how it works. Every artist, I think, musician, certainly performance artists, but musicians most definitely. We know it's hard. It's hard enough to get genuine friends and family that we know in real life that live 3 doors down to come to a free entry show.
Yeah,
in the same town. So, with how hard it is to get that to happen, having 1,000, 2,000, 1,000,000 followers on your TikTok isn't going to sell out this club. So, as a booker, you'd just be kind of crazy to be booking acts on that basis, I think. It doesn't make any sense to me.
I was on a radio show out of Chicago a few weeks ago and he's a musician himself, and we kind of got on the topic of, I try to sort of stick to the social media AI thing. Ironically, unfortunately, I actually think that right now we're probably in a low point for creative talent because everything's going to become AI driven and social media driven. But I think in 10 years' time, and I likened it to the download era of the early 2000s, in 5 or 10 years' time, people are going to go, actually, forget how many views I got on the AI thing. I actually want to go into a bar and see someone play. And I think with music now, everything is so incredibly polished, down to the fact of industry secret perhaps, but when you sing, the vibrato of your voice can be smoothed out in the editing because maybe it's just a little bit, like what Mark Bolan was brilliant with doing.
Yeah,
that sound, and they're smoothing it out, and that's just your natural voice. So that side of it, I think in time will turn where people go, I want to hear something that's not perfect. I want to go to a bar and see someone sing that's not pitch perfect because it's real. And same with art and film and all of these things. I think unfortunately we're in that drive of this is the new flashy thing and how amazing this is, and wow, we can knock this out in 12 seconds. And I do think it'll go full circle where people actually go, this is technically and sounds and absolutely fantastic, but where's the art and the soul? And even what I do, I think I record in an old-fashioned way, and a lot of that is modernized, and it's just not an option. I tried it with Jimmy Maddon too, and I missed the mark with that record. I misread that I went too early on an album that was not polished. It was very Exile on Main Street, you know, was recorded in the middle of a snowstorm in the studio underground underneath Bramble Lane. And there was no overdubs, no re-records. Everything was done in one take in a room. And I'm quite proud of the fact that it wasn't perfect, and that was the idea.
Yeah.
And some people got it, and some reviews were really flattering, and some arseholes are like, or some critics were like, "Oh, critics and arseholes" and stuff like that. But you know, I did take it down because it hasn't aged well because we've gone more into the perfection side. And I do think that will eventually turn, because I think it'll have to, because there comes a point where you can't make it any more perfect than it already is.
Yeah.
I remember someone after a show going, "I really didn't think you're going to be that good." They go, "You were surprising." And I thought, "When, oh, in what way?" They go, "Well, you just look like too much of the part, like it's too much of show." They go, "You're actually really good." And just the idea that someone went, "Actually, you were really good," I thought was, you know, I thought that was better than someone saying that, you know, "Wow, you're brilliant." It's the unexpected, unexpected convert, as you mentioned.
The whole ticket price debacle that's going on right now, because it's a bit ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, what's the highest you've been willing to go at this point? What's most you've paid to see someone?
Oh, probably for about 200 quid, I think. I think for an arena show,
Yeah.
you know, within a reasonable arena, you know, there's no point in being miles away. I think 200 quid's about right. If it's a proper band that's, you know, done the hard yards, but I think music has to be accessible. And I get that 4 backup singers, a whole band, a movable lights rig, and pyrotechnics and everything, there's all money it costs that. But I do think music is becoming inaccessible, and I think there's been last year or so, there's been a real shift in music becoming a rich person's play toy. I think it's feeling that way, and that's probably why it's a drive and a big thing in mind of, you know, support local venues where these guys are playing for free. But yeah, the ticket prices for some of them are absurd, and meet and greets are just, you know, I maybe have them, but don't slap an extra £1,000, you know, for it. I do, because you lose a generation of people. You know, I went and saw bands growing up, and it's I mean, you learn from watching them, and you can lose that a generation of people who understand showmanship, or they just can't afford to go. No, life's bloody expensive as it is at the moment. I put on a good show now, but I didn't when I started. You know, and you learn all of these things. I remember the first time I ever toured, I was so excited. I was getting on planes. I think there's about 3 or 4 plane trips, and every one of them, leather jacket on, leather trousers like Jim Morrison, high boots, chains, jewelry, and you look like a twat because when you go through security, you got to take it all off, you know, and you're that guy holding everyone up, and they look at you going, "I don't know who you are," and even if they did know who I were, they don't care. They got somewhere to be. You know, and you have to learn those things the hard way. When you're touring, just wear a pair of shorts on the plane. You're on the plane. If someone recognizes you, it's not the end of the world. You know, and so you have to learn these things. These venues aren't there for people to be learning these things, or these free shows for people to be cutting their teeth. They're not going to know, because, you know, the great saying is the next major rock band they're going to pay 200-300 quid at Glastonbury to see started in a local pub. And the story that I always remember is my uncle, many years ago in the late 80s, early 90s, lived in St Kilda in Melbourne, and you used to check the local paper, see what bands are playing at the pub down the road. And you'd always pop down, maybe have a few beers. If they're no good, move on somewhere else. That's what they used to do. You know, people used to go out, as you remember, have a few beers at the pub. If the band was good, stick around, not try the next one, see what that band's like. Check local paper, didn't know the name of the band, thought the weather's a bit shit, can't be asked, didn't go. Turns out it was Rolling Stones under a fake name, road testing new songs is what they used to do back before the days of social media, when everyone compiling in. And he always goes, "I regret not just taking a punt on the band." So I say, you just don't know. and I've seen some bands play. You're going to do some big things where, I was one of 4 people in the room, and I mean, same likewise. I played shows to nobody, and then a week later, you're out in Europe doing something. So I think music has to be accessible, and I think people need to get over this idea that art isn't something you can buy. It's not a right. That you can gatekeep.
Yeah.
And there's certainly that feeling at the moment in the industry. I think probably with all creative stuff at the moment, really.
If you could do a duet with some other famous singer-songwriter type of person, living or dead, I'll let you go full ball. Living or dead, who would you fancy a duet with?
I'd embarrass myself, and I would probably never live it down, but it would have to be Freddie Mercury. Just so I could. My great dream. I've got many dreams in music. One of my great dreams is to share a stage with Brian May. So I can get to that at the moment. But I think to do a song with Freddie Mercury would have been just something else. You probably come out knowing more about music than you walked in doing. I think that would be that if that could have happened, I think you'd be a pretty happy man.
Just a moment. This is not what it looks like. All right. Actually, it is. This is what they do. They won't let me go. They won't let me go. I'm chained up. I just do podcast after podcast after podcast after podcast. I've been here for 3 years. I haven't seen my wife or my kids. No.
You also take on a like castaway look now, aren't you?
It's apple juice everywhere.
Yeah. I'm good at
so,
silly.
So, while we've been busy doing this, the zombie apocalypse is going on outside. So if you could choose 3 celebrities to help you survive it, who are you bringing with you?
Ooh, that's a good one. That's a bit of a twist from last time, actually. I'm going to say Daniel Craig, because I think, he probably knows his way around.
He's a big lad.
Yeah, and, you learn enough in those acting scenes. Maybe someone smart. Who's smart? Who's still going that's smart? I think maybe, I don't know, I hate to say it, maybe someone like Mark Zuckerberg, because he knows systems, he can hack things, so it might come in handy. It might be a bit of a prat. You might want to kick him into the zombies, but I think he'll come in handy. And Ronan Keating, because I just think that rounds out that group in a unique and fascinating way. for no other reason that we found another group of survivors, and let's say Ronan Keating, I don't get that. That enough. Keeping him alive for that moment alone, it is enough for me.
But would you rather be a genius in a world of fools? Maybe you think you already are.
I was going to stole my line from me.
Or a fool in a world of geniuses?
Oh dear, I'll go a bit of both. I think a fool in a world of geniuses. I think you'll be the one who would see the sense in it. I know it's a very cliche, but I think all creators and musicians actually see the world the way it's intended to be. Yeah. I think that you'll be the only one who would see it for what it truly is.
So, would you rather have to sing everything you say or dance everywhere you want to go?
I rate my dancing. However, as I said, the aforementioned beautiful Mrs. Maddon, not so much. I was barred from dancing on the wedding day until I finally got enough drinks in to get moving. I'd say sing, but it probably depends on how many people buy the records. But I think sing. I think singing keeps you loose.
Yeah. Okay, so would you, if you had to, would you rather cry, like proper sobbing, cry when something's funny, or involuntarily laugh when something's sad?
I can actually answer this one. I have a very bad trait when something's not funny or something bad's happened. I have this sort of like nervous laugh that comes out, and it looks quite bad in like bad situations. I sort of default to laughing, which can be a bit awkward sometimes. But I'm getting better at reining that in. So I already know the answer to that one. So I'm going to say crying because I've not been able to do that.
I don't really attach to the idea of guilty pleasures. I like what I like, and I don't. Yeah. I'm not ashamed of anything, but we all get the concept, right? So if not so much a guilty pleasure, if like me, you don't really have them, but is there like a band, an artist, or something that people might be surprised? What, you like that?
Yeah. Weirdly enough, sort of when I was doing a lot of the cover stuff, I was obviously listening to what was trending. Sabrina Carpenter, I don't mind. Like the songs are complete cookie cutter pop factory work, but they are catchy. I can find myself listening to a bit of Sabrina Carpenter from time to time, which is probably all right unexpected. For years, I refused to listen to anything after 1999, including my own music.
Yeah.
But I have come round in my infinite wisdom.
Is there could you? Is it possible for you to pick? Could you pick at least narrow it down to a favorite decade of music? I know there's many different styles in any given decade, but
Yeah, the go-to is probably that mid-70s glam rock stuff. I just think that was an age of... I've always said humanity peaked in 1975. You had corded telephones. You didn't have mobile phones. The fashion was on peak. The hairstyles were on peak. A Night at the Opera came out with Bohemian Rhapsody. Films were brilliant. You know, everything in 1975. After 1975, it sort of goes downhill, in my opinion. And everything. But yeah, I think that mid-70s sort of stuff, you know, like Bowl and Bowie, all these guys were reinventing, really, you know, I think the Beatles probably reinvented rock and roll to a degree, and those guys in the 70s just took it to another place.
Yeah. Okay. What about,
so there you go.
Do you have a favorite movie soundtrack?
I'm a bit of a sucker for those sort of musicals. I quite enjoy Grease. I will find myself when, you know, every now and then popping the Grease soundtrack, or Rocky Horror as well, actually. Double feature is one that gets a heavy rotation. So yeah, I think the general soundtracks, are we counting the Blues Brothers as a soundtrack that's not a musical?
Oh, yeah.
I'll say the Blues. It's probably a bit of a musical. I'll take the Blues Brothers as a ripping record.
It really is. It really, really is. Okay, so how about this will be fun. You're my guinea pig for this.
All right.
That's one fucking hot rock looking guinea pig. But we're gonna try and play a bit of Winner Stays On.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll just give you two things. You pick one, I'll give you another one.
Here, let's go.
Become obvious. T-Rex or Bowie?
Ooh. God, they're hard to split. Fucking hell. I'll go Bowie, but only because he has a longevity up his side.
Okay, so Bowie, Queen.
Queen.
So Queen, Stones.
Queen.
Queen, Queen,
might be a short one. Queen. I don't care who you are, what your musical taste is. You can't look at Queen and say they're not the epitome of everything rock and roll music in any facet. The fashion, the photo shoots, the music, the album covers, the stage shows, the live shows. Any musician that's starting out that ever watches this or you come across, say to them, Queen at Live Aid should be a musical Bible. Before you ever play a show, pick up the guitar, watch that, and study that, and learn that is everything that you need to know when it comes to music in any genre. It's going to be hard to top Queen.
Yeah, but the algorithm says no.
Yeah. I've always considered myself a rather shit Queen tribute band in a way.
Queen is the winner. I may as well not go through the rest of the list.
Will be quite a short game, yeah. You went a bit early with that one.
Yeah. How do you sort of look back on a year, if you do at all, maybe, and how do you quantify your success? What are the sort of milestones or things that you look for to go, it's going well, it's going in the right direction?
Yeah, it's an ever-flowing, moving basket, you know. I used to really be bad at looking back at things I'd done and going, you know, always looking for the next big thing. And when people would say, like, actually, you know, you've done a lot of touring and success with charting stuff. You done a what? You know, you've done well. So going, that was really good. Halfway through last year, I had my head in my hands going, I'm not doing enough. I'm not famous. I'm not doing anything. And then come the end of the year, I'd done something like 43 shows in like 5 months, and did my first proper tour into Europe, which none of that was on the cards, at that point. So you never really know. So success really just comes down to happiness, then don't get me wrong, there's things that there's goals and aims I've yet to hit that will come in time, I will be the last one standing. But I think it's happiness, particularly with the algorithms, you can get bogged down in why it's not working. And sometimes it's just happiness with the unexpected show that goes well, or a song that you didn't expect to write that you enjoy, or as I said, just maybe a post that does well. So I think my success now is much more in, it's an amazing job. I've been able to do, and I forgot I'll say no GCSEs, but the equivalent of, I've gone around the world a few times over and had success with it. With someone where I've come, where I grew up and musical level, perhaps it shouldn't have done. So success it's a wild ride. I've done things, I've been to places I would never have gone to.
If you could start a rumor about yourself and everyone would believe it, what would it be?
Oh, dude, the music industry starting rumors about yourself left, right, and centre. It would probably be, oh god, what's a good rumor to get the masses going? Probably be that I've written the perfect song that is just not ready to be released for the world. Something that the world can't comprehend, a style that's just not ready to go. Anticipation in music's half of the job. So probably be, let's everyone think that I've got this amazing, track that they're just not, they can't comprehend it. We're doing a show will be one. Ironically, yeah, I was horrifically hungover, and which is a rarity because I do take it very professional and stuff, and was young and thought I can do this, and everyone learns the hard way about that, and snapping a string literally on the first strum of the first song. But it turned out to be quite a, the whole show not kind of working out in a weird way and being brilliant. But yeah, that was certainly a lesson and stuff like that. But I think with music, I don't know, you just take the highs and the lows. That's what you can't. Yeah, you can't predict them all.
So, I mean, I think you've already dropped several pearls of wisdom throughout this last hour or so. But if you want to think of anything, because this can be the viral clip, right?
Let's get the algorithms humming.
So what would be one piece of advice for a young musician starting out?
Honestly, just fucking give it a go. Like, leap in there. There's 1,000 reasons not to, but I know I'm not gonna die not trying. I've always said I can live with not being famous. I can't live with not trying. I can fail, and you have to fail. You have to be prepared to fail. In it, it's a long grind, but I can fail and go, I just wasn't good enough, but I didn't leave a stone unturned to find out, sort of things. I think you've got to say fuck and throw caution to the wind, because you never know. One thing's you need one song, one 3-second clip to change the whole fortune of everything. Or maybe perhaps if you think this is an easy way to make money, you're in the wrong game.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, look, it's like when we were talking.
Where's my limo?
We have a catchphrase here on Fox Tales to end these shows. The real trick is I don't say it; they do. You may remember this from last time. I'm not sure, but the phrase is: until next time, keep it foxy. I am that GD.
Let's warm up.
Yeah, you could do You can do this however you want. You could sing it. You could, if you had a celebrity impersonation. I keep saying this. Nobody's ever got one, but I keep trying.
I am
Now might be
terrible at impersonations. I'll save that one, but we'll give you something to for the late night watchers. Until next time, stay Foxx.
There you go. See, I didn't even give him the option of erotically, and he took it anyway.
It's rock and roll.
Weren't there? So, from the R-rated rock star Jimmy Maddon, I'm Johnny Foxx. Thank you for watching. I'll see you again in a couple of weeks.
Okay,
Bye
Hare
for
Krishna.
now.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.